I wanted to see this new MMORPG, The Wind Black Desert. Here we go. Let's watch this.
I know you guys all love Korean MMOs.
I do.
I mean, why wouldn't you? They have the best combat, the most beautiful graphics,
Who's got their credit
the biggest
card?
watermelons, cleanest user
Yep.
interfaces,
True.
and pay to win in these games literally doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. Thank God.
I wish all of that was true, but unfortunately it isn't. Who cares though, because no matter how many times we get burned by these games,
We'll come back.
many of us are so fucking addicted to that new MMO feeling, we'll knowingly walk through the microtransaction valley of death to get it.
I actually don't completely agree with that. I think the truth is, I'm going to move my camera up so you guys can see a little bit more of the UI of the game. So I don't entirely agree with that. And the reason why I don't is because a lot of people, I actually have fun. In every MMO that I play, I legitimately have fun at the beginning of the MMO. It doesn't matter if it's Lost Ark, New World, World of Warcraft expansion, Final Fantasy, whatever. Being all there together with the boys at the start of a new MMO, I think is a irreplaceable experience. And even if it's a bad MMO, I think that it's still fun. You get that honeymoon period, and it feels so fucking good. And that's worth playing the game. That's worth buying the game just on itself. I get more playtime out of that than I do with a lot of single player games. That's the truth. Here we go. Oops, wrong frame.
In this video, we'll be taking a look at a new upcoming MMORPG that's been over 12 years in the making.
That's a long time.
Inspired by one of the most successful MMO.
I always get a little bit skeptical about games that have been in development for like over 5 years, because I think that's one thing that happened with Diablo 3, is that Diablo 3 was in development hell forever, and then it never really came out, and then by the time it did release, a lot of the stuff was like kind of almost like DOA in terms of its like it was like not next gen, it wasn't like new, it was just like kind of like, I mean, Duke Nukem Forever is the best example, but I think Diablo 3 is another one.
IPs, which should be releasing Q4
outdated.
2022 or
Outdated.
early 2023. But first, sponsor.
Alright, great.
ExpressVPN. How do you think I've been connecting to all these region-locked Korean MMOs over the years? Well, it's simply by opening up ExpressVPN,
Doesn't it
changing my
open Europe?
location to a region supported by the game's publisher, clicking connect, and boom. As far as the internet's
Amazing.
concerned, my device is now located in
It's
Korea.
lit.
This is what I'll have to do to play the Throne and Liberty beta test later this year, and in the past I've used ExpressVPN to cover
I wonder if they're going to if they're gonna make me do that. Like, I wish they could just whitelist my IP and just let me play the game. That would be fucking crazy, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Like, cause I would try out the game and see what it's like. Why not?
on Lost Ark, Black Desert Online, and even Chinese MMOs such as Justice Online before they're available in the West. Other uses for ExpressVPN: expand your Netflix library by changing your location to another country with different movies. For example, if you're located in the US, you can change your location to the UK and watch South Park.
Really?
Protect yourself from DDoS attacks whilst playing certain
shit.
online
I should
games.
do that.
Prevents your ISP from legally selling your data to ad companies.
Legally,
and
keep
if you're
that in
someone
mind.
that simps over e-girls or watches porn, you can do so freely without your
Yeah.
ISP keeping records of that. Nowadays, VPNs are basically a mandatory piece of software to have access to. So click my link
How
in
many
the
of you guys
description
use
below to
VPNs?
find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. So what big budget Korean blockbuster is coming for our wallet next? Throne and Liberty. It's basically Lineage 3, but at the last minute they decided to not set the game in the Lineage universe and
That's a smart idea, because that way, like, I think it's good to have like new IPs, man. Like, I'm so tired of like having old IPs. I feel like this a lot with movies. And like, there's an exception, I would say, with like the Batman, right? Because it was like a new take on Batman that like we hadn't really seen before. But like with a lot of these movies and like games, it's like, man, I'm so sick of the same one over and over and over, you know? I'll be right back. Bro, I thought I bought Gatorade. I don't know where the fuck it is. Where the fuck is my Gatorade? Shit! That's the way it goes. It's in the bag. I checked, bro. Like, they keep having these little Gatorade bottles. It's like, this is a Gatorade for ants. Like, what the hell is this? That's for like some little kid.
Instead, create a new IP. This game is the next big PC MMO from NCSoft, and shares the same universe as another game in development called Project E.
Cool.
Throne and Liberty takes place on the other side of the globe, whilst Project E takes place on the other. We don't know much about Project E, so in this video we're focusing purely on Throne and Liberty. Now, this is a game that's been in development for well over a decade, and you may have actually seen trailers for it years ago, as this is an MMO that's gone through development hell.
Oh, but like, I saw that trailer, this one right here, whenever it came out, and they were on like a bridge. That was another one of the things. I remember whenever this shit came out, like I saw this like 2015 or some bullshit, like on my stream, and I was so hyped for it. And I always wondered, like, whatever happened to this fucking game? And it just never went anywhere. I think this is great, but I do think that, my opinion, like fixed camera, it works in Lost Ark, but I don't want it to work everywhere. Like, I like being able to move my fucking camera around. Straight up, I just want to be able to move my fucking camera around.
For it years ago, as this is an MMO that's gone through development hell. Initially, it was called Lineage Eternal and was teased all the way back in 2011. By 2016, the game was fairly close to completion and even had a closed beta test. For whatever reason, though, I'm assuming the game just wasn't fun, NCSoft...
Yeah, I just looked at that combat. That combat's fucking garbage. It makes Diablo 3 look like a high-quality game.
Went back to the drawing board, renaming it to Project TL and releasing a new trailer for the game back in late 2017. I'm sure you've all seen this trailer, and at the time the game seemed as if it would be isometric.
Yes!
Since then we heard nothing about Project TL, and it seemed unlikely to be something that would ever release. Until March 2022, when out of the blue, NCSoft released an official trailer for the game. No longer Project TL, but official name Throne and Liberty.
That was cool.
What's most surprising is that the game now seems to be third person rather than top down.
Great.
I'll play the trailer in its entirety, then we'll analyze it further.
Okay, let's see it. Here we go. Now we get a chance to watch it. So this is set in America. That's why there's a bald eagle. Okay. Sauron. Oh, maybe I did see this. I like the sword. Okay. That's Lou. Character creator, I'm assuming? Oh, it's the Erd Tree. But it's purple. Okay. I think the combat's it's like it's not like super great. Like it's okay, but it's not like super great. Yeah, I'll try this game out for sure whenever it comes out. But like seeing that doesn't like it looks good, yeah, but like it's not crazy. It's stiff? Yeah, it is. That's a really good way to say it. I like that. That was cool. Yeah, that was definitely cool. That's cool too. I like that. Yeah, the open world shit looks really cool. I hope these 4090s come out soon. I think I might need 2 of them. Holy shit. What you can move is that? Oh. Yeah, the siege. The siege element's really cool. Yeah, the siege element was great. I thought that was really cool, but I don't really know how I feel about it because, like, I always compare, like, the thing is now is, like, I'll compare every game's sieges to the siege that they showed in the Ashes of Creation beta, or, like, the alpha footage. And in my opinion, I think the Ashes of Creation alpha siege looked way more promising than this game does. It looked a lot, way more promising. Like, the scope of it was much bigger. Like, you had, like, a trebuchet, you had catapults, you had a ballista, whatever it's called. Like, you had a bunch of stuff, man. It was great. What happened in New World? We talk about that afterwards.
Wow, that's the type of MMO trailer I like to see.
Yeah, we'll see
Tons of in-game footage, gameplay, and features shown off in a short space of time. Not just a CGI cutscene where we have no idea what kind of game this will be.
Good insight, I agree with
So
that.
let's break it down. The trailer starts with a big open landscape shot of a bird flying through a fairly standard-looking fantasy city. This city or town reminded me a lot of Hydaelyn and Calpheon from Black Desert Online. Similar building design, similar color palette, instant BDO vibes. Character running through a desert, more BDO vibes. And this scene shows us that the game will have an active day-night cycle. Nighttime panning shot over a field of goblins. Perhaps this is an open world grinding spot. Next, our first look at an in-game cutscene. A character is sucked into a sacred tree where he's plunged into the abyss and seemingly gains some kind of magical power.
Oh my God.
He's attacked by a budget version of the Lich King. Then the camera pans out to third person
it's about
in what
right.
appears to be a transition from cutscene to gameplay.
That's
Next,
cool.
we see a level 2 female.
I think Lost Ark does, like, fucking amazing job at turning cutscenes into gameplay. You know, like you do, like, the Siege of Lutera or something like that, and they even have it with some of the boss fights. Like, they do such an incredible fucking job with it. I love it. Phaeton cutscene was awesome. Yeah.
Character kicking open a treasure chest, and our first look at the in-game UI. Holy shit, this actually looks incredibly clean and minimalist for a Korean MMO.
I love minimalist, clean UIs. I want to have as few things as possible on my screen, because I think the more things you have on your screen, the more complex the game is to follow. And I think, in my opinion, I think it's harder to design a clean and very well put together UI. It's harder to do that than it is to design a game that's, like, got a million menus and a million features, everything. Like, I think it's an actual example of less is more.
Character opens the door and the camera focuses on the tree, which seems to be the same one he got sucked into in the previous cutscene. Now we're level 34, the character rolls on the floor when jumping from great heights. You can also vault over walls and obstacles in this game. User interface still looks incredibly minimal, this time with 3 abilities unlocked. There's also boats in this scene, so perhaps this game will also have arcade-like sailing. Level 45, and now we're grapple hooking around the environment. You can clearly see here that around the world, the small red flags indicate places you can grapple to. We also have an ESO-style compass on the top of the UI rather than...
I in general don't like that, even though it's probably better for gameplay, because I feel like it's not as immersive, where they're, like, you know, you can look up somewhere and you can just, like, tell, like, oh, maybe I should try to grapple up there. I feel like the grappling feature in the game, it's... You know what game has a great grappling feature that's actually completely fucking, like, seamless? Is Sekiro. Sekiro has such an incredibly well done grappling system. It's actually insane. Like, Godfall, I didn't get that. Like, I don't know. I don't remember how Godfall even was. Spider-Man? Yeah, Spider-Man for PS1. Good fucking point. That was amazing.
and a mini-map. Everything we've seen so far is making the game seem fully open world. The next scene shows what appears to be a point of interest or collectible system in the world.
Yeah.
She runs to the gravestone, presses F, and an artifact appears.
Right.
She goes into some kind of flashback, 2D cutscene with an interesting art style plays, and then we're shown the UI of what appears to be an artifact examination UI.
I feel like the wait, we good? Are we good? Oh shit! I thought we were fucked up. Okay, yeah, never mind. I was worried. So yeah, like that art style, I like it a lot. Like Lost Ark does that art style, and it's really, really good. I feel like I didn't really like the art style, like the way that they did that one. I thought it just looked like a budget.
Translated the text here, and you can rotate, move, operate, or remove obstructions from items in this menu. Next, some kind of Witcher vision that highlights attackable enemies in a certain area. In this instance, it's useful because some enemies are disguised as plants. Our hero is able to pull enemies with his grapple hook. We're also level 66 in this clip and have 4 abilities in the bottom right. This next clip really indicates to me that the game is fully open world. We're grinding mobs in a beautiful large open plains area. We can see mountains and large structures.
I mean, that looks nice. I mean, like, let's go back just a little bit here. Like, this whole area looks pretty cool. You've got, obviously, like, some giant fucking tower, some shit like that. Let me just move back a little bit more past that. Like, this looks good. Spin to win. It could have a button system like Black Desert. I don't really know. But, yeah, I think this looks fine. Sure.
Structures in the background. We can see how loot and XP pops up upon kill.
Yeah.
And our character has 1,259 healing pots on him.
That's a lot of fucking healing pots. I don't think that the amount of spells the game has makes the game better. I don't think so at all. I actually think that New World not having a lot of spells, it's like borderlines on being an issue because they don't combo very well. But the best example I can use of like a game not having a lot of spells but still having very good and satisfying combat is Elden Ring. Like, you don't have a lot of spells. It's just you have different spells for different situations that you can use situationally. So I don't think it's a situation where like more spells equals better game. I think it's a situation where more spells that have individual special uses equals better game. You know what I mean? Combat's not the point of Elden Ring. Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah, not for an MMO. I don't agree with that. I actually don't. I don't think the problem is with complexities of combat, but I do think 4 buttons is probably too few if they only work on a surface level that way. I would totally agree with you.
Which suggests to me that this game won't have an annoying wage system like Black Desert Online.
Nobody
Level
likes a
45
wage
mage
system.
doing big damage, the monster throws a rock at her which she avoids.
Amazing.
Animations and spell effects look incredible. And we can see another giant castle in the distance.
Wow.
Visually, the game's looking very impressive. Also, it's important to note that we haven't seen any damage numbers so far.
I feel like the visual fidelity of the game is a little rough. Like, maybe it's on a low... I feel like what it is it's not optimized yet, and that's why you see all these graphical slowdowns, especially whenever you have a lot of targets on the screen. But it looks like it's not optimized at all. It reminds me a lot of like PUBG. Remember, like in PUBG, even if you had like a really good computer, if you were like flying over the forest, it would still lag you. I really hope that's not what happens. It's the same thing as like Elden Ring had this problem. Like whenever you'd fight like Tree Sentinel, for example, you'd have graphical slowdowns. Early version, yeah.
Perhaps they've turned this off for the trailer, or perhaps this will be something that's completely hidden. Level 62 warrior class fighting in a temple, level 60 archer which can also switch to a sword. Look at the environment here, the trees, plants and grass are moving with the wind.
Yeah,
the lighting from
nice.
the sun also looks beautiful.
Sure, I
Just
agree.
to go over the last 3 clips again, we can see that the game has a targeting system similar to Dark Souls. The archer was locked onto his enemy whilst moving, as was the mage. You can completely avoid taking damage by dodging your...
I think that you should have a lock-on system for casting spells and for shooting arrows. And I understand that people might think that, no, you should have to cast each arrow. I have to do that in New World. I don't like it. it's a chore. Like, I don't like it. It's not as fun. Yeah, it's tedious. It's just not as fun. I wish I could lock on. And I think that if anything, what you should be able to do is you'd be able to lock on with your spells for auto attacks maybe, and for maybe like a couple of base attacks, but like your big attacks should be skill shots. Like things like Fireball in New World, right? Where you like lob that big fucking dick over to him and you hit him with it, right? It feels good. So like you should have skill shots that do more damage, but like your auto attacks should not really be, every single one should not be a skill shot. I think it's exhausting for players.
Enemies' attacks, so the game seems to have a Dark Souls style action combat system, or at the very least that kind of targeting option. It wouldn't surprise me if there's also a free targeting option too. This scene is very interesting. A level 58 has turned into a bird. We can see that this character has unlocked 8 different abilities as displayed in the bottom right.
That's good.
You can also see a bird icon towards the bottom left of the screen.
Assuming they're customizable.
The next character has turned into a tiger with a tiger icon in the same UI location. So my thinking here is that either every character can shapeshift into different animals and this game doesn't have a standard MMO mount system, or this is just some kind of special event that's being shown. Either way,
I think that everybody can shapeshift, and the reason for that is because later on in the trailer, remember whenever that big fucking giant did that stomp and then everybody turned into birds? You guys are gonna see it. Yeah, I think it's a base ability.
Super cool. The next few shots are showing off some world bosses.
Yeah,
the first one is a tree boss in a haunted woods area, a flying demon world boss in some kind of temple,
that's cool.
A giant spiky armadillo boss in the desert area, big ass rock elemental, giant ogre boss, and a 6-legged spider humanoid boss.
That's cool.
In each of these world boss clips we can see between 20 and 40 players attacking these monsters, so it's clearly designed to be a large player encounter, and given that this game is heavily inspired by Lineage, is likely to breed world PvP as it did in Lineage 2. Next I'll
be really curious to see how world bosses are done. I feel like world bosses are either gimmicky or terrible. Or basically they're either gimmicky or loot pinatas. Where it's like a world boss in World of Warcraft. I mean, like, you go and kill that guy in Zereth Mortis. I mean, you know what I mean? Or like even Moke or Thunderwings, right? You just go and fucking kill him, right? More Undasta. Undasta is great, but there are negatives with Undasta. I think in a way, like, the classic WoW world bosses were really good too, but you had a lot of griefing with that. And so, like, how do you balance that? It's very hard. I actually think that it's incredibly hard for games to get world bosses right nowadays.
What appears to be some kind of guild summoning feature by what I'd assume to be a summoning stone. There's a banner next to this stone, so my assumption would be that this is a guild standard. Time for some open world PvP. One guild has the high ground whilst the other is trying to push up from the low ground. Epic shot of 2 groups running into each other. If you pay close attention here, some are shapeshifted into wolves and transform to humans at the moment of engage. This once again suggests to me that every class can shapeshift to some extent. We also haven't seen any traditional mounts in this trailer yet either, so my theory on this seems solid. I find that silly. These next clips are epic. You can see what appears to be some kind of siege scenario, and each guild can control different siege monsters to smash through walls and doors. We can see tons of spell effects and buffs going off. Then we're shown another siege monster different to the previous one, which appears to be fighting for the opposing side. The 2 giant monsters engage, then boom, another big skeleton.
See, they all turn into birds.
I slowed this footage down and counted between 55 and 60 players on screen fighting this thing. Every player gets knocked up into the air and transforms to bird form. If you look carefully, you can see what appears to be either small pets or creature summons following players around. I'd assume these creatures are pets that loot for you, as is standard for Korean MMOs. Yet another giant world boss, this time a desert worm. Let me guess, it burrows under the ground and you need to run away. So this scene explains a lot. This level 66 player has actually turned into one of these giant siege monsters. It's not a summon.
That's cool.
You can see on the UI that he now has 300k health. He's got 3 monster-specific abilities, and the transform UI now shows a siege monster icon. I think that's actually much cooler that these giant titans are actual player transforms. We can see that there's many types of these titans. Some specialize in being really tall and attack from range, others can charge, some can hold platforms to put guildmates on walls, some can straight up jump on the walls, whereas others just fully destroy walls. Needless to say, from these final scenes, castle sieges are definitely going to be massive feature in this game. And that's the end of the trailer. Honestly, this was one of the best MMO trailers I've seen in a long time. Just by slowing it down and taking a look at the details, we can make a lot of solid assumptions about the features in Throne and Liberty. Solid assumptions. Massive open world, action combat system, massive world bosses that require 20 to 50 players to take down. Open world guild vs guild PvP. Castle sieges where players can transform into different titans rather than using traditional siege equipment like battering rams and siege towers. Graphically, the game looks...
In my opinion, I as like a big fan of medieval sieges, grew up playing Age of Empires 2. I just want to see the trebuchets, the catapults, and other types of like fantastical siege engines, you know? Like that's what I like seeing. Like the Titans, like the Attack on Titan type stuff, like that's cool, right? But I also just like seeing catapults and shit like that, right? Like that's about it.
To be either Unreal Engine 4 or Unreal Engine 5. Beautiful minimalist user interface, which is extremely rare in Korean MMOs. The game likely doesn't have normal MMO mounts. It seems every class can transform into birds, tigers, wolves, and so on. The highest level players shown in the trailer were level 66, which leads me to believe that the hard cap is level 70, or level 60 is the soft cap, but you can go beyond that with grinding like in BDO. Moving throughout the world in this game looks good. You can vault, roll, climb, and grapple by the looks of it. There's an active day-night cycle. There's collectibles in the world, such as treasure chests and artifacts. The only playable race shown in the trailer was humans, but the world has other races such as goblins, skeletons, and other traditional high fantasy creatures. Since this game was initially built as Lineage 3, it wouldn't surprise me if elves and orcs are also playable races. The game doesn't have an annoying Black Desert weight system. The game has pets, so they probably loot for you. Weapons or classes I saw during the trailer: greatswords, staffs, one-handed sword and shield, daggers, bow, and dual-wielded swords. A lot of these weapons seems to be mix and matched. I saw mages with daggers, sword and board warriors with bows also on their backs, as well as a mix of heavy and light armor. Not sure what to make of that other than maybe it's a classless game, or every class can use every weapon. I'm not too sure. These next few points are speculation and not confirmed by the trailer. The trailer didn't show any small-scale bosses or traditional 5-player MMO dungeons.
I feel like there's like no game, at least I've played, that has challenging bosses that's an MMO where it's not instanced. I feel like it's almost like you can either have challenging bosses or you can have instanced gameplay. Or you can have open world combat. Like you can't, like that's about it.
Also inspired by Lineage, so I think it leans more to being a PvP grinder MMO, and likely won't appeal to World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV players, but maybe I'm wrong. Throughout the trailer, I didn't see anything on the UI that relates to questing, so I'm fairly certain you just grind mobs in this game to progress, as was shown in many of the clips. Throne and Liberty is a Korean PvP MMO, so there's about a 99.9% chance the game will be pay to win to some extent. And we saw ships in the trailer, but they were static, so the game may or may not have an aspect of ship combat in the future. Overall, I expected nothing, but after watching and analysing the trailer, I think this will be the next big PvP and Castle Siege MMO that Black Desert Online, Arcade, and ex-Lineage players will flock to next. Personally, I love Guild vs Guild Castle Siege endgame in MMOs, so this game is right up my alley, and will likely be something I play whilst I'm waiting for Ashes of Creation to release. That being said, I know it's going to be pay to win because it's Korean, but hopefully it will also be free to enjoy. But that's it for this video. As always, let me know your thoughts on this new MMO in the comments below, especially if you're an ex-Lineage player. What are your hopes for Throne and Liberty? Social media on screen, leave a like and comment for the algorithm gods, and I'll see you in the next one.
Wait a second, what was that?
And I'll See you in the next one.
Yeah, I think this game could actually be pretty good. We'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, game looks good to me. I would say so. Looking for PvP. As I said, bro, if I'm looking for a PvP experience, I play a PvP game. I don't want to go and play some busted-ass MMO PvP that's never balanced right. It's always fucked up, and it's always an afterthought. Or it's somehow fucking unbalanced. Overall, I thought this video was pretty good. Is this actually going to end Black Desert Online? I mean, I don't know. I feel like Black Desert Online, like, there's a lot of people that just played it. They spent a lot of time, money on their character. It's going to be pretty hard for Black Desert to die because of how many people are just, like, so, I mean, literally invested in it in a number of cases, right? So it's not really that big of a surprise. Either way, I am excited about the game. Again, this is a video from Lazy Peon. We've watched a lot of his videos before. I think he makes very good videos. I've watched him for years. He actually used to be a World of Warcraft person. And they made it even more pay-to-win recently. Well, that's because people don't really care about pay-to-win as much as they used to anymore. Pay-to-win isn't like this... Like, whenever people say pay-to-win now, people are like, well, how much pay-to-win is it, right? It's kind of like a... like, people, like, measure, like, how pay-to-win the game is, and then they decide how much they want to play it or how much they don't want to play it. They should care because it sucks. Well, there's a lot of things that people should do, okay? I agree with you. But I'm talking about what it is. Will you play V Rising? Yeah, I will. Based on if McConnell's around tomorrow, we'll do more of the fucking Elden Ring. And if not, we're going to do V Rising. I think I'll probably just play that tomorrow and just see what the game is like and give you guys a little bit of experience. I think that's a good idea. If you don't want to pay to win MMOs, stop playing them. Yeah, well, I wish more people thought like that, but they don't. That's just the truth. And her chest has the Atari logo. Okay, dude. I don't know about that, but yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I figure I'll try it out tomorrow if that's happened. Seamless co-op mod for Elden Ring. Yeah, it is. It comes out on the 27th, so it's not going to be until then. We're gonna be good. So guys, I've been on now for 10 hours. I'm gonna go and chill out and relax for a bit. I'm gonna lay down. If you want me to be totally honest, I got 5 hours of sleep and I am running on fumes. I am fucking tired. And I'm just glad that I've spent this much time playing streaming. Like, I've holy fuck, we've been here for quite a while.